Welcome back to another episode of the Ian Fritts Show. It's me, Ian Fritts, and yes, my basketball team is better than yours, but that's not why we're here. We're doing the 2025 ACC schedule, game by game, team by team, win-loss. What is every team's record by the end of the year? Let's find out. We already did Big 12. Go check that out if you want to on the channel. We're jumping right in. Boston College is up first, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Bill O'Brien, year 2. What are we going to do with Bill O'Brien? I think right out the gate, we're going to give him a win against Fordham. Not familiar with the Fordham program. However, I do know that Boston College should beat them 10 times out of 10. Next up, at Michigan State. That's going to be a loss against Michigan State there. Excuse me. That's going to be a loss if it'll do red. It's not doing red. Whatever. At Stanford. Stanford stinks. I'm gonna give him a loss there as well. I don't know why it's not doing color here. There we go. Loss against Michigan State. Loss against Stanford. Off week. W for Boston College. California. Cal last year, solid football team. They lose Fernando Mendoza. They lose a couple other good players through the portal. There's been pictures going around on Twitter about Cal's players just getting absolutely jacked out of their minds since January. So does that bode well for them? I think it might. But I'm going to give the win to Boston College since it's at home. So we're going to jump down here and already mark that as red. We should probably already do that for Stanford as well. Yeah, we should do that for Stanford as well. Boom, red already. There we go. Make it easier on myself, Ian. At Pitt. I prefer Pitt. I think Pitt's a better football team. It's going to be a win for Pitt and a loss for Boston College. Clemson, we know that is a loss. UConn, win. Sometimes people forget they even have a football team. But we're going to go win for Boston College there. At Louisville, that's a loss for Boston College, no doubt in my mind. Notre Dame, that's a loss. SMU, that is also a loss. Georgia Tech, that's a loss. Man, Boston College got a tough schedule this year, folks. And at Syracuse, that's a loss as well. Those last 5 games for Boston College are no joke. And look at this. They play 8 games in a row. This schedule stinks for the Boston College, whatever they are. I forget every time. Eagles? Yes, Eagles. So we're going to zoom right in here. That's a 4-8 season for the Boston College Eagles. That's not great, folks. That is not great. 4-8. If it'll let me do numbers. Sometimes it doesn't. All right, Cal is up next at Oregon State. Oregon State, still not really technically in a conference. I still like what they got going up in there, Corvallis, but I like Cal. I'm going to give Cal the win to start off the season. Texas Southern, win. Minnesota, loss. It's a loss against Minnesota. Boom, red. At San Diego State. I believe San Diego State's been having some issues with their team, with the law. So I'm going to give Cal the win there. Boston College already lost. Duke, that will be a win as well. No, that's going to be a loss for Cal. I like Duke's football team. Darian Mitt's a good football player. And we're going to jump down here and give Duke the win there already. I should have been more proactive in this. I'm already falling behind. Minnesota, it's going to be a win for Minnesota, wherever Minnesota's in the Big Ten. What am I doing? Duke, Clemson, that was a win there. Louisville, that was a win. Notre Dame, not in this conference. SMU, that was a win for SMU. And Georgia Tech, that was a win. A lot of wins going on because Boston College, a lot of losses for Boston College to start the year out. Not good. Not good for the folks up in Boston College. Not a good situation, folks. Not a good situation. Okay, I think we're squared away here. Duke, loss. North Carolina, Friday night game. We don't even really know about North Carolina. I think North Carolina is one of the biggest unknowns in college football this season. We don't even really know what's going on in North Carolina because they got it under lock and key. We were supposed to get the all-access Hard Knocks for North Carolina, and then Bill Belichick's 12-year-old girlfriend 28-year-old girlfriend or whatever. Don't want to get sued. Shut that whole thing down. Said, no, not anymore. But I sneakily think they're actually going to be pretty good. So that's going to be a loss for Cal, but a win for North Carolina. Loss for Cal, win for North Carolina. At Virginia Tech, I love Virginia Tech. They were my sleeper team last year, and that did not work out. That did not work out at all. But this year, I think Brent Key over there is going to figure things out. And they're going to do what I thought they were going to do last year, this year. Not to the degree I thought they would do it, but I think they're going to be a solid program, solid football team. Virginia, however, will stink. They will stink, and they will not be very good. At Louisville, already lost there. This was supposed to be a win for Cal, excuse me. So we go down to Virginia. You guys know the song, Hey Virginia. I don't know it as well. Then we have Louisville getting a win. Louisville, they got a lot of talent, a lot of good players, a lot of good talent, a lot going on for Louisville. At Stanford, Stanford's going to be horrifically bad. Just again, I don't know. Ever since Christian McCaffrey left, and David Shaw, I believe, was the head coach then, Stanford's gone down in the dumps, the way dumps. So Stanford is going to get another loss. Another loss for Stanford there. Just not a good situation for the Stanford Cardinal. SMU, that's another loss. Man, there's some tough schedules for these top two teams in the ACC here. So what is this going to be? It's going to be 3-9, 5-8, 5-7. 5-7 for the Cal Golden Bears. I think that's right. I think they'll be better than Boston College. I think they will be better than Boston College. They also got an easier schedule than Boston College. Again, these last 5 games, Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, not easy at all for Boston College. Louisville is up next. We're going to go down here to SMU and give them the win against Cal, wherever their team is here. We're going to give them the win against Cal. Jump back up, Clemson. Now, this is a team that the entire world knows about. The entire world is excited about. In my way too early top 25 back in April and January, I believe, I put Clemson at number 1. So I was way ahead of the game here. People are just now coming around. Hey, Clemson's probably the best team in the country. Clemson, all the talent, returning talent. Cade Klubnik coming back for a year 3. That defense has all the guys, all the dudes, young wide receivers, talented, highly touted, recruited guys, all coming back. And I said, hey, sound the alarm. These guys are going to be really, really good at football this year. And I was on the train way earlier than everybody else. And I'm going to continue to be on the train because they're going to win against LSU in week 1. That is at home. The Tigers, who I am also very high on, stay tuned for the SEC predictions. They have to travel to the other Death Valley. They're both Death Valley. Game of Death Valleys, game of Tigers as well. Also, awesome helmet matchup. Look at that. Orange, yellow. Don't go great together, but it is going to go great on a football field. Might be game of the year. Definitely game of week 1. I guess you got Texas, Ohio State as well. Week 1 is going to be magnificent, folks. Magnificent. Troy, win. At Georgia Tech, win. Drop down to Georgia Tech. Give Georgia Tech a loss wherever they are. Boom, loss. Although Georgia Tech, I think they're going to have a good football team. And I believe I said Brent Key when I was talking about Virginia Tech. I believe Brent Key is at Georgia Tech, not Virginia Tech. Getting my techs mixed up. Either way, it's a win for Clemson. Again, Syracuse, that's a win. 4 straight weeks at home, I believe. Nope, they go to Georgia Tech. I'm a liar. Off week against North Carolina, that's a win. Against SMU at home, that's a win. On the road, I'd be a little... Man, they get all their tough games at home this year, except for Louisville and South Carolina. So we're going to go win against Duke, win against Florida State, at Louisville, Friday night game. I'm going to assume. Now, this is November. Well, I'm filming this in July 28th, I believe. July 27th. That's going to be a blackout game, a blackout. Louisville's wearing their all blacks. Clemson is not wearing their all blacks. So, I think Clemson loses 1 game, but I don't think it's going to be this one. I think they win against Louisville. They definitely win against Furman, and I think they drop the one at South Carolina. But nonetheless, it's an 11-1 season for Clemson. You can't be upset about that if you're a Clemson Tiger fan. 11-1. I believe their over/under is 10.5. It is 9.5. So they hit the over on the Clemson Tigers, folks. Even if they lose 2 games, which LSU, I believe they're favored by 4.5, 5.5 right now against LSU. So that is one. There's 3 games on their schedule. That's why it's 9.5. 3 games on their schedule that are going to be toss-ups. Louisville, South Carolina, and LSU are going to be the closest games for Clemson. That's why the 9.5 is the over-under. We're going to drop down to Duke here. We're already going to give them a loss against Clemson. We're going to go ahead and give everybody, everywhere I see a Clemson helmet, we're going to go ahead and drop the loss on there because they go undefeated in ACC play. So they will be in the ACC championship game. They will be in the ACC championship game. Against who? Or against whom? Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out here in a second. Duke, Darian Mensah in town. I love Duke. That should be 11-1, not 11-8. We do not play 19 games in the college football season, although I wish we did. Elon, didn't know they had a football team. That's a win. Illinois, that's a win. I mean a loss. It's a win. That's a loss. I mean a win. I like Duke to start 2-0 at Tulane. That's fun. Going against his old team, his former team. I still like Duke to win. Tulane's going to be a good football team, but I like Duke to win that one. NC State, we're going to give them a loss there. Don't really know who NC State's quarterback is going to be just yet. Excuse me, we do, but kind of an unknown. What are we really going to get from him this year? We don't really know. But I like Duke to drop this one. This is a classic game for them to lose. At Syracuse, that'll be a loss as well. I already have the win against Cal. They got off week. Let me drop down here against NC State. Give NC State the win at Duke. Wait a minute, folks. No. That's a win. That's a loss. It's at home. I like Duke to get that done. Syracuse, they get the win against Duke. And then we jump back up here. Georgia Tech. A lot of people are high on Georgia Tech. Again, everybody returns basically. Haynes King back at quarterback. They shocked people last year. Do they shock people again this year? I think so. So I'm gonna give Georgia Tech a win there. I'm gonna give them a win there. I think Georgia Tech could shock some people. Yellow Jackets. Look at this. Off, on. That's an interesting schedule. They only play 2 games in all of October. The Duke Blue Devils. They got the loss against Clemson. That's a win against UConn. Man, UConn, tough. Two ACC teams UConn's got to play. That's a tough situation. Virginia, yeah, just don't love Virginia. They stink. They stink, and they will continue to stink. Just a news flash for any Virginia fans out there: your team will never be good. At North Carolina, I like Duke to win that game, and I like them to win against Wake Forest. I believe it's going to be an 8-4, 9-3 season for the Duke Blue Devils. This Final Four stretch is going to be key. Two wins against some sloppy opponents in Wake Forest and UConn and Virginia. Really, that North Carolina game is the only one that could be up in the air, even a little bit, folks. Even a little bit. Just go ahead and mark that red down there. Where's Virginia? I already marked them as the loss there. Okay, and North Carolina, that will be a loss. What is that? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 9-3 for Duke. Good season for the Duke Blue Devils. I'm high on them. I like Darian Mensah a lot. I'm an OU fan, so I was kind of hoping we had a chance to get him, but I'm glad we got John Mateer. Man, now it's making me do shapes. Unbelievable. Florida State. Do we have a bounce back year? Do we have a bounce back year if you are a Florida State Seminole? We will find out. I'm not sure. They're over under 7.5, so obviously we think they're going to be better this year. But how much better is the key? Are they really going to be that good? You start the season at home against Alabama. It's just going to be a tough situation, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a tough start if you're a Florida State Seminole. East Texas A&M. Kudos to East Texas A&M for showing up, going to that game, getting your money. Good for you guys. Kent State also just good for you getting your money. I believe Kent State also plays OU this year, so just funding the entire school with those Florida State and Oklahoma games. At Virginia, here we go. These should all be green. Excuse me. At Virginia, I prefer Florida State over Virginia now. They have Thomas Castellanos this year at quarterback for Florida State, so that should be a jump. Quarterback play was abysmal last year. Miami, Florida, a win. Miami hasn't played any of these top 4 teams. Man, Miami's schedule might stink this year, folks. They might have a cupcake schedule, Miami Hurricanes. Haven't gotten there yet, but I do like them to beat Florida State. I prefer the Miami, Florida Hurricanes. Pitt. It's going to be a win. At home. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. It's going to be a loss for Pitt. At Stanford. Again, that's a win all day, every day. All day, every day. Wake Forest, they stink. Wake Forest has sneaky some of the best uniforms in all of college football. That's about the only positive thing I can say about Wake. At Clemson, I already have them losing that game. Virginia Tech, I'm going to have them drop this game, but they bounce back, win on the short week at NC State. I like them to win that one. So we got a win there. NC State will have a loss against Florida State. And then the last game of the season at Florida. I love Florida. That's going to be a loss for the Florida State Seminoles. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. 7-5 for Florida State this year. They have a tough schedule. Honestly, actually, it's a pretty tough schedule. Yeah, Alabama. I'm picking them to lose all the games that they are going to not be favored in. This Virginia Tech one, they may be favored in, depending on how Virginia Tech season goes that far down the road. Had a tech sip here from the patented mug. If you want one of these, let me know. We will ship it to you. You will have to pay for it, but we will get you one. Yeah, tough season for Florida State, but it's a bounce back. They're over under 7.5. We have them right there at 7-5. I like that. I like that a lot. Georgia Tech's over under 7.5. Let's see what the Yellow Jackets are going to do this year, ladies and gentlemen. At Colorado, win. Gardner Webb. Look, what are we doing? We may just have to make a video about schedules because Gardner Webb is who we're scheduling? What are we doing? Unbelievable. Temple, win. At Wake Forest, we already know they stink. Poor Wake Forest, man. Just going to be a bloodbath down here. Do they play Stanford? No. They'll have a couple wins. They got Delaware down there on their schedule, so not going to be a bloodbath completely. It will be, though. Virginia Tech. This is going to be a fun game. Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. It's at home. I'm going to give Georgia Tech the nod. So right here through 8 weeks of the season, we have them at 7-1. 6-1. 6-1. Syracuse. I like Syracuse, folks. We're going to drop down here and give them the red. Look at that. They played 2 conference games in the first 6 weeks of the season. That's unbelievable. Syracuse. Golly. Syracuse is one of those teams where do I believe in him? I love Fran Brown. I think he's going to be an exceptional head coach. I like what they did in the portal. I like some of the guys they're recruiting for next year. But can they get it done? It's a home game for Georgia Tech. I'm going to sneakily give them a win there. At NC State, we'll have them drop this one. Do I have NC State winning every single game? I might, folks. I'm not sure NC State's going to lose a football game. I do think they will lose a football game, but the way things are going right now, I always sneakily like the Wolfpack. Where was I? NC State. I'm going to give Georgia Tech the win there. No, I'll give NC State the win there. Off week at Boston College, that's a win. Home against Pitt, that's a win. And then you have Georgia. Look, there's already a little 1 next to that. Boom. We're going to give Georgia the loss. We're going to give Georgia the win, but the loss for Georgia Tech. Drop down here against Pitt and give a loss for Pitt. So what is this? Is this 10-2 for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets? It is, ladies and gentlemen. The Georgia Tech Yellow... Is this thing on? Listen to this. Georgia Tech is 10-2. You heard it here first on the Ian Fritts Show. Hammering, just demolishing their over-under 7.5, 7.5, and we have them going 10-2 on the Ian Fritts Show. I like Haynes King. I like the head coach. They were solid last year. They take a leap this year. Give me the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 10-2. So right now we got Clemson, Georgia Tech in the championship game. Here we go. Louisville, Eastern Kentucky. That's a win. JMU, win. Bowling Green, win. At Pitt, win. Man, Pitt. A lot of people are high on Pitt this year. I don't love Eli Holstein, so I'm not. Virginia, win. At Miami, that's a loss. We're going to give them a loss there. Boston College, win. At Virginia Tech, loss. Cal, win. Clemson, that was a loss. At SMU, loss. And then Kentucky at home, win. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8-4 for the Louisville Cardinal. Their over-under is 8.5. So we pretty much nailed that speed run right there. 8-4 for the Louisville Cardinal. And we're going to change all these to red here for a second, just for ease of continuity. That made no sense. But right now, this will be green. Clemson's will be green here if it'll let me select it. And we're going to have the two teams with the best record at green for my eyeballs so I can see them easily. Boom, green, green, green. Okay, Louisville, 8-4 season for the Louisville Cardinals. Solid season, right there under their over-under. Look, every team can't go over their over-under. That's not how it works. That's why there's an over-under. I do actually think mathematically there may be a way you could do that, and I may try to figure that out. Anyways, maybe the second biggest brand in the ACC right now, Miami, Florida, they are up. What will they do? Let's find out. Notre Dame. Man, week 1? Come on. Miami, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU. This is what we live for in college football. These big-time helmet matchups in the early parts of the season. Give me Miami to win the game, though. Give me Miami to win the game. Bethune-Cookman, win. USF, win. Florida, loss. I love the Florida Gators this year. Louisville, that was a win. Stanford, win. I'm just gonna make this a bigger green. It's gonna be a win against SMU. It's gonna be a loss against Syracuse. This is one of those late game mess ups from the Miami Hurricanes that they always seem to have. I'm gonna give them a win against NC State, a win against Virginia Tech, and a win at Pitt. Okay, let's drop down here to Pitt. Give Pitt the loss. Man, I'm just handing Pitt losses left and right, up and down, all over this schedule. Unbelievable. NC State had them lose. I'm having NC State lose every single game, folks. They're losing every game. Unbelievable. What was that schedule? That's a 10-2. That is a 10-2 from Miami. That's a 10-2 from Miami, and they only had one ACC loss. Oh man, it's going to be a log jam in the ACC. It is going to be a log jam in the ACC. NC State's up next. Win against East Carolina. Win against Virginia. Look, they're not going to be a good football program. They're not. Wake Forest, that's a win. They're also not going to be a good football program. I think they're going to have the worst record in the ACC. Them and Virginia and Stanford. Those are going to be the bottom three teams. I'm not saying anything that you guys already didn't know. I'm just stating the obvious here. Virginia Tech, that's a tough one. What do I like? Do I like what Virginia Tech's going on? I'm not sure. We'll give NC State the loss, so we'll give Virginia Tech the win. We're going to give Virginia Tech the win there. That's a win for VT. Win against Campbell. Nobody knows who they are. At Notre Dame, loss. Notre Dame just needs to be in the ACC at this point. Their whole schedule is ACC games. It's unbelievable. At Pitt, we're going to give them the loss there, and we're going to give Pitt the win there. Good for Pitt. Getting a win. Georgia Tech was a win. Miami was a loss. Florida State was a loss. And North Carolina, rivalry game. Bill Belichick always thrives in those. However, he beats NC State. The Wolfpack eat them alive at home this year. Give them the win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-6 season for the NC State Wolfpack. Over under 6.5. So that makes sense. Get rid of that, and we will make it a red 6-6 for the NC State Wolfpack. Moving right along, North Carolina. TCU, fun game. That's a fun game. Starting off the year hot for Bill Belichick. Red. Charlotte, win. Richmond, win. UCF. I believe I gave North Carolina the win against UCF. Cal, win. Clemson, loss. Virginia, win. Syracuse, loss. Stanford, win. Wake Forest, win. Hey, this is a solid first year for Bill Belichick here. And at NC State was a loss. Now, Those last 2 games, you don't want to lose the last 2 games, but 8-4, I believe, is what I have them. No, 7-5. 7-5, over-under, again, 7.5. I am nailing these over-unders, folks. Well, I'm not nailing them. I'm just saying what I think they're going to be. So if you want to take my advice, we always do really good with the over-under in the or with the spread in the actual games. So take my advice here and win some money with the preseason numbers here. Duquesne, Pitt is up next. That's a win. Central Michigan, that's a win. At West Virginia, I like them to win that game as well. Louisville, loss. Boston College, win, I think. Yes. Florida State was a loss. Syracuse, we'll give them a loss there, which means we give Syracuse the win down here. NC State, loss. At Stanford, win. Stanford is going to drop another game. It's going to be a tough year for the Stanford Cardinal folk. Hate it, but it's just going to be that way, and that's going to be a loss. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-6 for the Pitt Panthers. Yes, 6-6. Over under 6.5. Am I doing this just because I know what the over under? I'm looking at the over under after I pick the games. This isn't just me thinking pick 6 of these games to win, 6 of them to lose. That's not what I'm doing. This is what the gut says, and I go by the gut here at the Fritts Show. You can't go any other way because your mind likes to take external factors and put them in win and loss. You can't do that. You can't do that. Go with the gut. Go with the gut. SMU is up next. East Texas A&M. Again, what are we doing with this East? Who else is playing East Texas A&M? Florida State. Tough 2 weeks for East Texas A&M, playing SMU the first week and then Florida State the next week. Baylor, win there, lost there for SMU. Missouri State, it's going to be a win. TCU, that's going to be a win. Man, SMU playing a Big 12 schedule here to start the season out. Good for them. Good for them. 3-1 to start the season. SMU, I like that. Syracuse, we're going to give them a win there. Stanford, win. Loss against Clemson. Win against Wake Forest. That was a loss at home against Miami. And then a win against Louisville. What is that? That puts SMU at 9-3. Yeah, 9-3 for the SMU Ponies. SMU's got a lot of money, folks. SMU has a lot of money. They also have a lot of talent. Kevin Jennings back at quarterback. I like them. I like them a lot. Tough out-of-conference schedule. Baylor and TCU, those are not easy games, even though they're down the street from each other. Not easy games for SMU at all. Okay, SMU's over-under, 8.5. 8.5. Look at this, folks. 9-3. Put the over on the SMU Ponies. I would actually like the under. I lean under there, even though I just picked them to go 9-3. They have some toss-up games, like that Syracuse game that could easily go Syracuse's way, but because it's at home, they'll probably be favored. Stanford is up next. We're going to give them a loss against Hawaii. That's a loss against BYU. Loss against Boston College. Win against Virginia. Shocker. Win against San Jose State. It's a loss against SMU. It's a loss against Florida State. It's a loss against Miami. They beat Pitt? I had them beat Pitt? No, that can't be right. No, they don't beat Pitt. Forget what I said. They don't beat Pitt. No way. No way. Yeah, Pitt wins. They lose to North Carolina. They lose to Cal. They lose to Notre Dame. Yeah, what is this? A 2-9 season for Stanford? Their over/under's 3.5. But just do the under. Do the under on Stanford. They're not winning anything. They're winning nothing. They are winning absolutely nothing. 2-9 for the Stanford Cardinal. Syracuse up next. Tennessee to start the season. This is what I'm talking about. These bangers right out the gate in college football. Unfortunately for Syracuse, it's going to be a loss, even though I like them. But they'll bounce back with a win against UConn. Colgate, win. They lose to Clemson. Beat Duke. Lose to SMU. 3-3 to start the year. Bounce back 4-3. 4-4. Do they beat North Carolina? Yes, they do on a Friday night at home. At Miami, they dropped this one. I like Miami. I prefer them over Syracuse. More talent, more money. Probably, I might lean Fran Brown in the head coaching world over Mario Cristobal just because it's some of the dumbest coaching decisions ever have been made by Mario Cristobal recently. They lose to Notre Dame, but they beat Boston College. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-6 for the Syracuse Orange. Over under? Yeah, you guessed it. It is 5.5. It is 5.5. 6-6. for the Syracuse Orange. Virginia Cavaliers, Coastal Carolina, win. They lose to NC State. They beat William and Mary. They beat Stanford. Good for them. Good for them. They lose to Stanford. They lose to Stanford. They lose to Florida State. They lose to Louisville. They beat Washington State. I like that. They lose to North Carolina. They lose to Cal. Wake Forest. Do we give them a win? We do. We give them a win against Wake Forest. They lose to Duke, and then they lose to Virginia Tech in the rivalry game. So we're going to drop down here. Virginia Tech's got a win there. What is that going to be? That's going to be 4 wins. 4 wins for the Virginia Cavaliers. Good for them. Good for them. They're over under 6.5. I must be missing something on Virginia this year. And you know what I'm missing? I completely forgot that Chandler Morris is now their quarterback. Transfer from TCU. Still, he's a solid quarterback, but he's nothing special. He is nothing special. So we're going to go 4-8 for the Virginia Cavaliers. We're going to jump down here. Virginia Tech, banger out of the gate against South Carolina. Are you kidding me right now, folks? Are you kidding me? But we're going to give them a loss. They're not winning that game. Vanderbilt, 2 SEC games to start the year. We're going to give them a win against Vanderbilt, though. No, we're going to give them a loss. Old Dominion, no. They're going to beat Vanderbilt. What am I doing? They're beating Vanderbilt. Come on. And they beat Old Dominion. Wofford, win. NC State, win. Wake Forest, win. Georgia Tech lost. Win against California. I believe they lose against Louisville. I might have to go up here and check. Yep. No, they beat Louisville. I haven't beaten Louisville. Oh, Virginia Tech coming out of nowhere, folks. Coming out of nowhere. And they lose to Miami. That's going to be a 9-3 season for Virginia Tech. They're over under 6.5. Brent Key. They need to figure out a naming change because they both can't be named Brent and they both can't look the exact same. 9-3 for Virginia Tech. All of these games for Wake Forest should already be filled out. It's going to be a loss for a bunch of them. That's a win against Kennesaw State. Win against Western Carolina. They lose to NC State. Lose to Virginia Tech. I'll give them a win against Oregon State. Why not? They lose to SMU. They lose to Florida State. They lose to Virginia. They lose to North Carolina. They beat Delaware. Good for them. Good for them. Schedule in Delaware late in the season, and they lose to Duke. It is going to be a 4-8 season for Wake Forest, folks. Red. 4-8 for the Wake Forest trees. Now look at these schedules. Look at these guys here. Let's see. We got Clemson 11-1 right there. Clemson 11-1. Georgia Tech 10-2, and Miami 10-2. So those are going to be the top 3 teams in the ACC this year. Sneaky team to look out for is Duke right there at 9-3, and then SMU at 9-3 as well. Now, if you give me a team to pick out of these 3, I think we're going Clemson's already in, and I lean Miami. However, they do have that game against Florida early on in the season, and they play Notre Dame. So two tough out-of-conference games for Miami. So it could be Georgia Tech shocking the world, getting to the ACC title game. But give me Clemson to win this league. Stay tuned for Big 12 or Big 10, game-by-game, win-loss predictions, and SEC coming up as well in the next couple weeks. College football's here, folks. Get excited. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe down below. Comment where I went wrong, what I did wrong, who's going to win and who's going to lose in some of these games if you disagree with me, and I will respond to you. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye.
There goes Davis.